Hi, good morning. I'm Sandra Boston. I'm your worship host this morning. We're grateful for all of you to be here today. In this congregation, we believe it's up to each of us to reach out and make sure that everyone feels welcome. So the tradition we have is to turn in the four directions and greet each other. Like, hi. Glad to see you here today. Here comes someone walking in the door just now. And I guess we got to get the people in the foyer to stop chatting. Hey, Jim. Thank you. We extend a special welcome to our guests this morning. We hope that you will sign our guest book in the back and check your insert for all the details about our service. We usually have a coffee hour, but in the time of pandemic, we've eliminated that, but there'll be a little gathering with some snacks out on the sidewalk as we depart the church. There's also information in your bulletin about the different committees of All Souls, and if you want to talk to anybody about membership here, we're glad to have you do that. Now I invite everyone to breathe. Take a deep breath. Let it out with a nice, comfortable sigh. Come into the room. Be present. Be focused. Be at peace. We come together this morning to remind one another to rest for a moment on the forming edge of our lives, to resist the headlong tumble into the next moment until we claim for ourselves awareness and gratitude, taking the time to look into one another's faces and see communion. This house of laughter and silence, memory and hope, is hallowed by our presence here today. Let us take this time for quiet reflection as we listen in silence to the prelude. Thank you, Julia. And now we're going to light our chalice. It's going to be lit this morning by Kay Judd, a new member of our church. And as we light this chalice, let's just remember that every Unitarian fellowship around the world is also lighting a chalice sometime today. This is our tradition as Unitarians. May the light of this flame illuminate our minds. May the heat of this flame warm our hearts. May the focus of this flame bind us together in one loving community. Join me now in singing. Yes, singing. I think we have enough social distance between us that we can sing. We've got our masks on, and singing is good for the soul. Join me in hymn number 128. We are called to use to build the common good and make our own desire. You know, it's just a special joy when you have a topic in mind to open the hymnal and go hunting. The poetry is just so amazing, and it's such a spiritual journey to read each hymn and to feel into it, and that one just totally resonated with my topic, and I felt just so gifted by whoever sat down and wrote those words. It's our custom in this church every week to take up an offering, which gives us an opportunity to exercise generosity of spirit that supports All Souls in its many ministries. This is one way we can be glad for our lives. We see this act of giving, of growing more generous in our hearts and our actions as essential to our spiritual well-being. We will now receive this morning's offering. I guess, oh good, Jim's going to jump up and volunteer along with David. Oh, he's, all right, he's going to do it his way. Now we're going to read together our congregational covenant. This is something that we have recently worked on revising as a community to be more speaking to our time. So please join me. In this house, we covenant one another to build our connections on a foundation of love, hope, and faith, to accept responsibility for our individual acts and work together to promote equality, justice, and peace, to stand on the side of love, embracing the liberation of oppressed minorities and championing all movements to end discrimination, to communicate with kindness and support, and to serve with compassion and commitment. Our reading this morning is based on a quote from William Stafford that's on the first page of your bulletin. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. And Parker Palmer, when he read that, wrote these 3 paragraphs. It's in your bulletin if you want to follow along. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light alongside the times you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved who loved you, those who might have wished you ill, none of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or long gone. Everything falls away except the thread you've followed, unknowing, all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done, the thread you didn't know you were tracking until toward the end, you see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the imaginable vastness of life. Your life never was the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity, an immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. Join me now in hymn number 112. Yeah, stand. It's good for the body.
Through the star, through the land, do you hear?
betrayal, loss, grief, despair, empathy, connection, restraint, restoration, resiliency, sacrifice, hope, transformation. We're all on a journey together with these signposts pointing in every direction. We have some tough, painful, scary choices to make. Which signs will we follow? We all know our planet is changing more rapidly than the scientists ever predicted. Our democracy is in peril, our voting rights, a woman's right to choose. All of these dynamics at once can be overwhelming. I don't even know which news broadcast I'm willing to listen to anymore. I imagine you all can relate to this. No matter how many times we try to stop the cascade of calamities, our efforts fall short, and despair is at the door. Then Rumi shows up with his summons. Come, come, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, it doesn't matter. Ours is not a caravan of despair. Come, though you have broken your vow 1,000 times. 1,000 times. How did he know that? Come yet again. Come, come. Bless his heart. How did he know about those 1,000 times? And what, and pray tell, is he calling us to come to? It's part of his magic that he doesn't fill in that blank. You do. Are you willing to come? So as our hymn composer asks, what do you hear in the hush of your soul, your heart's call? Where do you choose to stand among all the dreams, the dares, the sighs, the prayers? Isn't that beautiful? Let me tell you a story about listening. I was recently at the Interfaith Council annual retreat where we plan our programs for the next year. And after discussing things like our role in the community and who calls on us and who do we call on, Sue was there, we came to the topic, okay, what are we going to offer for the next year? And I raised my hand and I said, I'd like us to have a monthly program on the question of where do we go from here, and have a different kind of resource person, a psychologist, a sociologist, an economist, answer that question. And a few more comments came, and then came a young woman who's working with the Wildflower Alliance in Turner's Falls on recovery from trauma. And she spoke and she said, we're all dealing with trauma now. We need to go inside and heal. And moments later, sitting next to me was Sarah Pirtle. And Sarah said, I've just written a song. I see you nodding your heads. And she just proceeded, you are not alone, you are not alone, you are not alone. I am not alone, I am not alone, I am not alone. We are not alone, we are not alone, we are not alone. I see a lot of heads nodding. We just sat with that for like 20 seconds of silence. And then Kate, our facilitator, said, I think we've found our theme for the year. Isn't that magic? Do you trust magic? What do you hear when you hear that song? In our reading this morning, the title, Everything Falls Away, resonates with how our lives seem to be unfolding. Yet then the author contradicts his statement. There's something happening we don't see that doesn't fall away. What is that? Palmer calls it a thread that without our knowing, like it's not up to us, weaves us into the masterpiece of the tapestry of life, where we live forever. More poetry. How does he know this? Can we believe him? Is that what causes us to choose a direction to follow, even when it doesn't promise success or even relief from danger, may even increase danger? Have you ever done that? Palmer is asking us to answer the question, what do you trust? I'm reminded of when Kate Stevens came back from her tour of the South, trying to explore the origins of racism. She told us the story of why the church was so central to Black people's struggle for freedom. When they crossed the threshold of the church on Sunday morning, they were free. They were loved. They felt the strength of their bond with each other and their Creator. Their trust in that bond gave them the courage to dream, to dare, to sacrifice, to be transformed even in the midst of danger and no guarantee of outcome. What do you trust? In this time when so many of the institutions we counted on for trustworthy stability and integrity are failing us, and the future of our survival is daily reported as slipping away, sometimes being decided by just 2 people. We need to answer this question, what do we trust? Without trust, we have only despair to drown in. With trust, we have hope, we have community, we can take risks we might otherwise deem foolish. We find courage and clarity of purpose. What do you hear? Grief is ever on the edge of our awareness as we go about our daily assignments. When we slow down enough to really experience the sense of loss of species, of respect for leadership, of safe air and water supply, of enough food to eat or safe place to live, the grief is right there waiting to engulf us. Joanna Macy refers to grief as a verb. It moves through us unbidden and uncontrollable. It comes when it will. Because we love, we grieve. We may try to bury our heads in the sand, but the grief is just waiting for us there in our lonely isolation. We know that if instead of burying our heads in the sand, we pick up a shovel and start digging, right, Pat? There will always be others digging there too. Suddenly, we are not alone anymore. We are engaged, we are connected. Someone starts singing, and right away, we want to join in. The singing itself is a soothing presence and a message. We are not alone. Gradually, we begin to feel glad and hopeful, and even grief can be transformed. I wonder if the singing has anything to do with that thread. Sound familiar? Does that have something to do with why we're here today instead of reading the newspaper or sleeping late? Look around. Imagine everyone you see has picked up their shovel. How does that feel? Do you hear any singing? What are you trusting when you come here today? I've been on a shovel-wielding journey these last few weeks, turning to teachers about trouble and transformation. Joanna Macy, our spiritual elder on the journey to the great turning, says hope is something you choose, like a healthy diet or a spiritual practice. It is not based on any assurance that your digging will bring the results you long for. Some will even tell you hope is just another form of denial. No, hope is for you. It strengthens you. It connects you with all the other diggers. It's like the teaching in the Torah that says it's not your responsibility to finish the task before you, but do not abandon your responsibility to begin. Joanna describes hope as both a blessing and medicine. Yes, a blessing, because it stimulates our imagination and we can sometimes feel that thread carrying us into the unknown. Yes, medicine. Norman Cousins, who wrote the book Head First, The Biology of Hope, ended up on the faculty of Harvard Medical School having received the only ever given honorary doctorate in medicine because of his work proving how the powerful emotions of hope and prayer change the biochemistry in the body and impact the healing journey. Hope is indeed medicine. What do you hear? A few years ago, I capsized in a kayak in a strong current on the Deerfield River. When I disentangled myself from the underwater hidden branches that had grabbed my boat, I was a little shaken, but okay. Then, to my utter dismay, I spied the plastic bag containing my car key that I had stuffed in my bathing suit floating down the rapids. Oh my God, without that key, I had no way home. How's that for a metaphor? What a metaphor for runaway climate change. I had to retrieve it, which in the moment meant I had to outswim the current. Have you ever been in such a dilemma where it seemed life was demanding of you more than you had to give? If we were still back in our usual new tradition here of giving you 5 minutes to turn to the person next to you and share something that's going on in the sermon, that would be it. But since we're doing such social distancing, I'll move on. Wow. I headed out giving my all, not knowing the outcome. It seemed futile for the first 10 minutes. No matter how frantically I swam, that little plastic bag was not any nearer. But I couldn't stop. No matter what it takes, I couldn't give up. What I did not anticipate in my fierce straining was that the river, which had been raging because it was narrow, would gradually widen out again down and around the bend, and thus slow down. The key was retrieved, but so was the lesson. Yes, you give your all even when all seems lost, and it's never the end of the story. Nothing is just in our hands. Nothing is just in our hands. We won't always get the results we long for with our efforts, but why not trust that invisible hand? One of my teachers, Arnold Mandel, worked with groups of 300 in countries where bloody civil war was or had happened. And when I asked him what he trusted when he picked up the microphone to start a process of creating understanding, his answer was mystery. Later, he would refer to the Tao, that ancient Chinese philosophy, as like an underground river that fills any channel that's open, but comes when it will. and that thread in Palmer's story works without our knowing. And what was Audre Lorde trusting when she said, "When I am clear about my purpose, it is less important that I am afraid"? Or Jimmy Baldwin when he says, "I am not your Negro, I am not who you see." Twice Jimmy had to leave this country for 10 years in order to remember who he really was. But he always returned to the struggle to free white people from their moral wound. What were they trusting as they faced down injustice, imprisonment, and attack? What do you trust? John Seed once said, "I am not working to save the rainforest. The rainforest is working through me to save itself." Yes. He is talking about connection, feeling a part of the miracle of life, not the one in charge, but the one in service. Robin Kimmerer in Braiding Sweetgrass talks about how every species of plant and animal in nature has both a gift and a responsibility toward the flow of life. John Seed understood his responsibility. The Rebellion Extinction and Sunrise and Line 3 Indigenous water protectors understand their responsibility. What, pray tell, is our gift as humans? Robin says our gift is gratitude. It is also empathy, being able to feel what others, humans and more than humans, feel. It is the gift of restraint, of being faithful to our place in the scheme of things, the ones who can foresee the future, plan, direct the flow of resources like water, air, and soil. Wow, what an awesome gift, and what a critical responsibility. What do you hear? I recently came across a Zoom series being put together by Harvard Divinity School, the Planetary Health Alliance, and the Center for the Study of World Religions. What an incredible alliance. Their intention is to bring the voices of science and spiritual leaders not just together, but into each other's work. They want priests to bring science into their sermons, and scientists to bring the spirituality of their broken hearts into their reports. Another intention is to make strong use of the arts, poetry, music, and film, to reach into our emotions, where grief can yield to sacred trust, where powerlessness can transform into hope. We may not see how the river will bend and widen, or how change will come. Nature is the leader, the designer, the authority. We are her faithful servants. The thread is leading, and it knows how to weave the tapestry of life. When do you feel that transformation come? I recently watched another Zoom by a man named Kurt Blackson on the magic of surrender. You can find it on YouTube. The magic of surrender. It was just what I needed to hear. He said, as long as we are trying to control what happens in any arena, micro or macro, we are limited by our own capabilities and intentions. Our efforts are all we have to trust, like me chasing that key against the strength of the current. And we know it isn't going to get us what we want. He says no magic can happen then, only frustration and exhaustion. When we surrender, which doesn't mean giving up, just giving up on the control, then magic, his word for spirit, can intervene with unlimited possibilities. Thich Nhat Hanh teaches the same lesson when he says that with an expert's mind, there are few possibilities. With a beginner's mind, there are limitless possibilities. Laughing in recognition. What happens for you when you surrender control? Somehow, magic, faith, and hope align for me. These experiences bond us together. We are not swimming alone. Our shovels make music as we labor together in service to what we love. We have begun the journey to serve our sacred earth in gratitude. We are in partnership with the earth, and the earth responds with her infinite care and wisdom and limitless possibilities. As we listen, we will be guided. She will work through us. The thread is doing its work. Our despair is transformed. What do you hear? Are you willing to pick up your shovel? We're going to have our final hymn now, which is Holly Near singing her blessed song, I Am Willing. Their words are in your bulletin, so join along and sing as you can.
I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go before us, so lift me up to the light of change. There is a hurting in my family, and there is sorrow in my town. There is a panic all across the nation, and there is wailing the whole world round. But I am open and I am willing, for to be hopeless would seem so strange. It dishonors those who go it dishonors those who go before us. So lift me up to the light of
Oh, oh, thank you, thank you. What a joy she is. All right. So, coming back to our seats. It's time in our service for times of joy and sorrow. And Kay is going to get a light from the altar and bring it to the candles. And yes, I'm on. I'm going to invite anyone who'd like to share a joy or concern to just raise your hand, and I'll come by with the microphone so you can be heard. And this is a time for any personal journey that you would like to share, a place there you might need support yourself or someone you love or know, and also a time of celebration of births and new jobs and new people moving to Greenfield and all those sorts of things. It's also a time for anyone who's new to the church this morning to introduce themselves so we can welcome you. So who'd like to offer something? Okay.
Sandra, could you invite that I will read joys and concerns from people out there in Zoom land? We have 13 cameras.
Okay, we have 13 people on Zoom, so I'll bring the microphone over to you when, let me just catch somebody here and I'll be back.
Okay, I'm Robin. I'm very happy to be back with you after such a long time. Overjoyed to be here with Sandra, who is a light in my life. And these are my children who came with me, brought me from Texas, where I've been staying with them, and missing you very much, Constantina and Dimitri. And they are, we've reversed roles now. I'm the child and they're the parents. Again, I'm so happy to see you all.
Good morning, I'm Rob. Your beautiful sermon reminded me so much of another thread, the one that William Stafford wrote a short poem about. I don't remember it all, nor is this the right time, but the key thing is that there is a thread that runs through all of our lives, our grief, our joys, and through all the things we don't know. One thing is certain, never let go of the thread. A thread that sadly has run through my life is that I've single-parented my daughter. She's been very alienated from her mother, and I still love my ex-wife against all reason, and I very much hope that today the two of them are supposed to take a walk, and that it is blessed with something that helps them bridge their divide.
Hi, I'm Pocky. I've recently come to live in Greenfield, and when I saw Sandra the other day, she told me about giving this sermon, which is on a theme that I think is so profoundly a part of me that I had to come to share in it, and I appreciate being here with all of you and being part of this community. So thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Robin. I moved to Greenfield about a year ago, and I've been a follower and friend of Sandra's for many decades. So I'm glad to be here with you. And I just yesterday was part of a celebration of life for a friend who had passed on about a month before from breast cancer. And I was honored to be able to be to come closer to her in her last few months and weeks and really be with her even on the last day of her life. And I have another dear old friend who is in the process of making her transition from breast cancer. So I just wanted to name that here and just let their spirits be here as well. Thank you.
I don't see any chats here. Carlin had to go, and that's all. But it's so good to see a good gang of fans.
All right. Thank you, Kate.
I'd like to light a candle of joy to be with all of you this morning and to hear the lovely sermon. Sandra,
So
thank you so much.
Prayers of gratitude and concern and weave them into our web of connection and faith and trust. And we conclude this sharing time with a prayer to friends, which is a song. It's on a separate insert in your hymnal. So join us in singing. Born of sand, yearning joy where now there's strife. All I have, all I am. Help me to see what I may see. Help me to be where I must be. Restless faith, though my will free. To my life turn my hand. Come, though you have broken your vow 1,000 times, hear the whisper of your soul. Surrender control and watch for the magic. Be lifted up to the light of change. Go in peace, create peace, be peace. Amen.